I like it. I like it.
Zoya Akhtar often gets criticized for only shedding light on rich people problems, while the argument itself is extremely reductive of her compelling work that more than anything else tells human stories. The debate itself is factually incorrect, as Akhtar has proven her prowess as a storyteller with Reema Kakti in films like Luck by Chance and Gully Boy. On the flip side, there is a meme that also talks about how TVF is running out of national competitive exams to focus on. The strength of any story, irrespective of the section of society or the financial strata of its characters, is if they emotionally resonate universally. And I think Zoya as a director has been more than capable to prove the same time and time again. When the digital boom took place in India of streaming shows, there was novelty on the next title that would be announced. If Netflix had Sacred Games, Amazon Prime Video had Made in Heaven, a story that was celebrated for its portrayal of the rich and influential and taking a deep dive beyond the facade to expose the good, bad, and the ugly of the elite of Delhi. The biggest meme that followed the show after season 1 was when the audiences will get season 2. Like Jile Zara, its existence almost became like Bigfoot. There were brief sightings of it on the internet, but no one could really solidify if it's actually going to happen. Years passed by and one concluded it's best to move on and forget about it because the date of its release keeps on getting pushed. But as the release date of the show was announced on the 10th of August, one was relieved that they could finally revisit what Tara and Karan were up to this season. We left off the season with Tara separating from Adil as it gets impossible for her to coexist with him knowing that he had a long-standing affair with Faiza. In the latter episodes, it is exposed that Tara actually was a gold digger and had actually trapped Adil so that she could reap the benefits of a luxurious married life. Karan becomes national news as he gets apprehended under Section 377 but became a voice of reason and a poster child for gay rights in India in the concluding moments. The brief activism also leads to the conservative and restrictive mindsets of most getting exposed as families do not want to do business with the company and their office gets trashed. 6 months later, how the duo get out of this financial mess and restart Made in Heaven as they focus on several social themes with new couples is what I wish the prime focus of season 2 was. If I were to be absolutely unfiltered about the show, it really has transitioned to become all over the place in its screenplay and has lost the core touch of what made season 1 so special. While we shed light on the passion and genuine effort made by Tara and Karan in making weddings for couples truly special, it has quickly transitioned to just focus on their individual mess, and the weddings, the detailing, the roadblocks in setting up events have reached the back burner this season. Weddings are miraculously set up, and what went into those weddings is barely explored. The camaraderie and distinct personalities that made those events a reality barely exists, and one like a nauseatingly exhausting sociology class has to sit through episodes where brief time is spent on a social topic and casually and conveniently solutions are met and we move on to the next chapter like a crash course syllabus as the exam looms around the corner. Let me shed light with great detail about why season 2 pales in comparison to its first and how a presumably effective social commentary transformed to become a lecture to the audience. When I went through the motions of the first episode, I couldn't help but notice that I just did not feel anything. Tara was dealing with her divorce with Adil, Karan is still figuring out dating life, and Jazz and Kabir are in this limbo of sorts as they cannot really define their relationship. Trinetra Haldar is introduced as a new member of the team, and as they are going through financial trouble, a new auditor is placed in the company played by Mona Singh, who is Vijay Raz's wife. What became really apparent was how there was definitely more fluff this season with brands. The product placement was as jarring as ever. The first episode essentially was a great marketing tool for Sabyasachi the brand and the empathetic individual. And you come across the blatant existence of brands dispersed through episodes, especially from Moblon, Zomato, and even Bulgari. Subtlety really took a backseat this season, and while the series explores themes like fair skin obsession, caste politics, dowry, domestic abuse, and several other nuanced subjects, the solutions are met with such ease, with such generic speeches and pep talks, it completely took me out of this season. Two aspects especially that threw me off was the incessant need for the creators to speak in the English language with characters that are clearly not well versed with the language. This was not as glaring in season 1, where characters switch to Hindi dependent on their surroundings, but when one is interacting with characters like Jazz and Vijay Raj and Karan and Tara are still conversing in English, this is also true for students speaking to the Mumbai police, it almost seems as if they are disconnected with their surroundings, which also makes me think whether this is just Emmy baiting. This was the same problem with Delhi Crime Season 2, where Shefali Shah suddenly was speaking in English to her subordinates in a thana in Delhi, who are clearly way more comfortable in Hindi, and this may just be an attempt to be in the reckoning for international awards versus catering to the storyline and characters. You know what's also absolutely ineffective? The generic commentary by Shashank Arora in the conclusion of each episode. At least in the first season, his character Kabir was in the trenches, absolutely invested in the facade versus what actually happens behind the scenes. But this season, he has aspirations of being a filmmaker and is absolutely disconnected with the entire tamjam of weddings. And for him to still integrate his thesis on weddings at the end of each episode had zero impact. Because unlike season 1, he is not even interested in the development of events around him. People are defending the series and its mediocrity by stating that they have observed the behavior of the rich and influential of Delhi for years and how the character portrayals in this season are spot on. And growing up in Delhi most of my life, I personally have to say it just cannot be enough that the characters in your show mimic qualities that are real. What's essential for impactful storytelling is that it progresses organically from a screenplay perspective. But season 2 really mimics the qualities of an anthology, where creators lent their voice in each episode, but the thread that binds the episodes together is completely missing. I can agree that it's extremely important to focus on several themes that the show sheds light on, but it should naturally develop versus being a box just to be ticked off. Most of the education regarding the marginalized is provided through Trinetra's character Meher, but rather than understanding her plight and experiences, she is placed in awkward situations in random intervals to ultimately educate us about her experience. The problem isn't what is being imparted, but the generic way in which events seem to shape up. She is placed in bullying, harassment and violent situations, and she moves on to bumble in each case after the lesson is imparted. The lack of acting range really does not help, and while I absolutely appreciate the case of inclusivity of someone from the transgender community actually being cast for the role, her character seems to be in an individual arc versus actually becoming a part of Made in Heaven. This is the major problem of season 2. Everyone is in their own tangents exploring their paths, while the wedding and what they originally started is the fluff. There are episodes that absolutely have zero impact and others that can be appreciated for their effort. While episodes that explore the couples played by Neelam and Sameer Soni and the worst of the lot Sarah Jane Diaz and Imad Shah are an absolute snooze fest and leave no emotional impact on you to what transpired between the couple, episodes including Radhika Apte and Mrunal Thakur are probably the only ones that have something nuanced to say about our social structures and conditioning. It was beautiful to see a Buddhist and Dalit wedding this season, probably the most beautiful sequence of the entire season and something that was also done in a film like Sarpata Parambarai. If I look at the silver lining this season, the only time there is some humanity and the same grounded and effective portrayals of the emotional trauma characters go through, like season 1, it only gets communicated with the characters of Mona Singh and Vijay Raj, and whenever Vikrant Massey graces us with his presence to bring some sense into Karan's life. I've been rooting for Mona Singh ever since Jassi Jaisi Koi Nahi, and it's so lovely to see her shine in a series like this. The important point about most shows is that one really should empathize and root for their protagonists, but the leads, Tara and Karan, are so morally all over the place, they go back to their toxic ways and stay in that rut. And the makers expect us to empathize with them when they take the worst conscious adult decisions for themselves and everyone around them. Imagine having the ability to explore season 2 in such a way that you actually feel happy for Adil and Faiza to be together. Yes, it's all a product of the money-hungry origin she comes from, but why should I root for her anymore? The only thing that stays consistent with her character is that she convinces her bride this season also to stay in a toxic marriage for money, because that will help her in the long run. The last episode of season 2 left me confused. Was this just an incomplete season that Amazon Prime Video was fearful of putting out there? Did they know it lacked the charm and heart of season 1, so they contemplated ever releasing it? I had so many questions. The series might only have glimpses of being enjoyable or impactful in parts, but holistically, it paled in comparison to season 1 and left me hollow rather than contemplative of its storytelling, or even interested whether it will get renewed for season 3. In the pursuit of following individual arcs, this season let go of its title and the company, Made in Heaven. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below what you thought about season 2. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram, the handle's right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.